Morning, friends. Today I am going to deliver a small lecture on Transfer of Property Act 1882. Basically, this is the Act number 4 of 1882. This act it was passed on 17th Feb 1882. It is mentioned in entry 6 of the concurrent list of Schedule 7, which states that transfer of property other than agricultural property, and other than agricultural property, this is mentioned in entry 18 of the state list. This act it came into force on 1st July 1882. Transfer of Property Act 1882 is an Indian legislation which regulates transfer of property in India. Property is one of the fundamental element of the socio-economic life of an individual. The word property it has gradually been given a wider meaning. Property law is therefore it is an important branch of the civil law. The word property means what? Basically, the word property it is a comprehensive collection of a legal right over a thing. The Transfer of Property Act 1882, correct? The Transfer of Property Act 1882 it deals with the transfer of inter vivos, means transfer by the act of parties it takes place between the two living persons. For example, the gift or the sale is a transfer of property by the act of parties. How come? Because both transferor and transferee both must be the living person on the date of transfer. Transfer of property under the will is not the transfer, or it is the transfer of property under a will is not transfer by the act of parties, because it will take effect after the death of the transferor. Secondly, transfer of parties by the operation of law. When we are talking about the term operation of the law is basically a legal term that indicates the right and the liabilities which has been created for the parties. And the transfer of properties by the operation of law, they are governed by the personal laws like Hindu and the Muslim laws of will and inheritance, or order of the court under the civil procedure code. That is the transfer of properties by the operation of law. And best example of this is the succession. For example, if there is a father or a grandfather, and if they have forgotten to prepare their will, so the property which is of grandfather, that property is automatically of father by default. So this act it does not cover such type of transfer. There are two chief objectives of this act. First of all, that it regulates the transfer of property between the living person. Secondly, it completes the code of contract for the immovable property. Now, if we talk about that, what is the transfer? Transfer means what? Transfer is basically a process, or we can say that it is an act by which some property it is handed over to the other person. And when we are talking about transfer of property act, what does the transfer of property act means? It means by which the living person he conveys the property in present or in future to one or to more living persons or to himself. Now, the transfer of the property act has been divided into 8 chapters, and there are 137 sections in it. Section 1 to 4 it deals with the preliminary sections. Then section 5 to 53A it deals with the general principles of the transfer of property act. Then section 54 to 57 it deals with the safe mode of transfer. 58 to 105, it deals with the mortgage. Section 106 to 116, it deals with the lease. Section 116 to section 121, it deals with the exchange. Section 122 to section 129, it deals with the gift. Section 130 to section 137, it deals with the actionable claims. So there are various modes of transfer, but section 122 to section 129, which is of gift, this section is not applicable on Muslim. This section is not applicable on the Muslims. There are essential elements of the transfer of property. Like first is the transfer. ठीक है, transfer means what? The essence of the term transfer is to convey what? It implies the conveyance of the property by the person who is entitled to it. Second thing, living person, which means it involves two distinct persons. Third thing, conveyance. Transfer of property means what? An act by which the living person, he conveys the property. Fourth thing, property. And fifth thing, it must be in present or in future, but the property, it must be in existence. Now the most important thing is that the most important section of this act is section 3 of the Transfer of the Property Act. Section 3 of Transfer of Property Act, it defines the term basically immovable property, but the definition is neither clear or neither complete. It simply says that immovable property, it does not include, it excludes standing timber, growing crops or grants. It is not clear as to what is include. So for that we have to depend upon the General Clause Act 1897, and according to the section 4 of the General Clause Act 1897, what does the immovable property includes? Immovable property, it includes first thing land, second thing benefit to arise out of that land, and third thing things attached to the land. So the definition of the immovable property, which is defined in the General Clause Act 1897, this is applicable to the Transfer of Property Act 1882. Now we have said that the immovable property, it includes land. Now what does the land means? Land means what? Land means the surface of the earth, and it includes everything upon the surface of the land, under the surface of the land, and also above the surface of the land. So anything upon the land, so long as it is not removed from there, it shall be the part of the land. ठीक है? For example, soil, mud deposited on the surface of the land, on the surface of the earth, it would be a immovable property. Second thing, what they have said, that benefits to arise out of the land. Now besides the land, the benefit which the person is getting from the land is also a immovable property. For example, land is used in a wider sense. It means that it includes everything upon its surface and everything beneath the land. Therefore, the right of the tenant to live in the house of his landlord is the immovable property of the tenant. In the same way, right of the fisheries, right to catch the fish in the pond or the lake is an immovable property. Then third thing is that the things which are attached to the earth. Things attached to the earth means what? Things which are embedded in the earth, things which are attached, what's so embedded in the earth, things which are rooted in the earth. Now when we are saying that the things which are embedded in the earth means what? Which are fixed firmly in the earth and they have become the part of the land. They are the things which are embedded in the earth. For example, houses, buildings, walls, electricity poles, they are the immovable property. Why? Because they are the things which are embedded in the earth. Now Second thing, things attached to what is so embedded in the earth means what? Where a thing which is attached to something and it is embedded in its in earth for the permanent beneficial enjoyment. So the thing that so attached, it would also become a immovable property. For example, doors, windows, and the walls of the permanent enjoyment of that house. Correct. Now third thing is that things which are rooted in the earth. Now things which are rooted in the earth means what? Like trees, plants which are grown on the land and they are rooted in the earth with the help of their roots. They keep themselves fixed in the earth and they become the part of the earth. Correct. Now then they have said under it is cut down. Therefore, a general rule in respect of all trees, plant, herbs is that they are the immovable property. But there is an exception to this general rule. First thing, standing timber. Standing timber is a movable property. Why? Because it provides its wood and they are generally used for the timber purpose, that is for making for the household furnitures. Second thing, we have talked about the growing crops and growing grass. They are also movable property, although the crops say wheat and barley are nothing but they are the collection of the plants which are rooted in the earth. But every crop and grass can be cut in future when it becomes a ripe. So that is the reason they will not be called as the immovable property. Now section 5. Section 5 of the Transfer of the Property Act, what does it says? Now section 5 of the Property Act, it defines the term transfer of property in the following manner. Section 5 says that transfer of property means an act by which a living person, he conveys the property in present or in future to one or to more living person or to himself, and to transfer the property is to perform such an act. Now transfer for the benefit of the unborn person. Section 5 of the Transfer of the Property Act, it says that transfer, it takes place only between the two living person. So a transfer to a person who is not born is valid. Now first of all, for that we have to understand the meaning of what do you understand by the term unborn person. Unborn person in simple terms means that the person who is not in existence even in the mother's womb. So the property can be transferred to a person who is in the mother's womb, but property cannot be transferred to a person who is not even in the mother's womb, because such person is called the unborn person. Legally speaking, every transfer of property, it involves the transfer of interest. Correct? Now there are two rules. First thing is that property, it cannot be transferred directly to an unborn person, but it can be transferred for the benefit of an unborn person. And section 13, it provides that the property can be transferred for the benefit of an unborn person subject to the following condition. What are the conditions? There are the two conditions. First condition is that transfer for the unborn person, it must be preceded by the life interest in the favor of the person in existence at the date of the transfer. And secondly, only an absolute interest may be transferred in the favor of the unborn person. Now as we have talked about the prior life interest, what do you understand by the term prior life interest? And second thing is that only an absolute interest may be given. Now when we are talking about the prior life interest, see, for example, suppose A, he transfer his house to X for a life and thereafter to a unborn named B. Okay. Now B he is the son of A. So here A, he cannot make the direct transfer to his son. Therefore A, he has to make a direct transfer of his life interest in the favor of X. After his death, the interest of that house, it shall pass on to the unborn person who is named as B. So prior life interest, the transfer for the benefit of the unborn person, it must be preceded by a life interest in the favor of the living person in existence at the date of the transfer. The interest, it should pass on to the unborn person who by that time comes into existence. And second thing, we have talked about only absolute interest may be given. Now only absolute interest may be given means what? For example, A transfer his property to X for life who is unmarried, and then to the eldest child of the X, absolutely. So the transfer in the favor of the eldest child of the X, that is valid. So only absolute interest in the property, it may be transferred in the favor of an unborn person, and limited or life interest, it cannot be transferred to the unborn person. Transfer of property for life of an unborn person is void and it cannot take effect. Correct? So what is the conclusion of this? The meaning of transfer of property, it is not exhaustive according to the Transfer of Property Act, and for that we have to depend upon the General Clause Act for the better understanding of the meaning. Correct? Now for example, if I give you one solution that X, he sell his house to Y with the condition that Y, he should not alienate it without the consent of X. So is this condition valid? No, this condition is not valid. Why? Because the right of disposal is one of the essential feature of the ownership. And if we talk about the section 10, what does the section 10 speaks? Section 10, it provides that if a transfer is made subject to a condition by which the transferee is absolutely restrained from disposing of or parting with his interest in the property, then the condition is void. And what is given in the current problem? In the current problem, we have said that X, he sells his house to Y with the condition that Y, he should not alienate it without the consent of X. Here X is curtailing the rights of Y absolutely and right to disposal. Why? He need not to take any consent from X to alienate the property, as Y has become the owner of the property, and this condition is void because it absolutely restrains the alienation. Section 10. What does the Section 10 it speaks about? Section 10 of the Transfer of Property Act. It makes a provision that condition restraining the transferee's power of alienation is void. Correct? Now, and a disposition which tends to create future remote interest, it has been prohibited under section 14 of the Transfer of Property Act, which says that rule against perpetuity. Now what do you understand by the term perpetuity? Perpetuity means what? Indefinite period. And rule against perpetuity is a rule which is against a transfer making the property for an indefinite period, or we can say for forever, where a property is transferred in such a way that if it becomes non-transferable in future for an indefinite period, then that property is tied up forever. Correct? Now, thank you friends. I'll upload more videos tomorrow.